Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl Major with the healthyeatingclub.com, and today is our second call of February. And today I thought we might get into the weeds a little bit about some head stuff, because healthy eating and healthy living is not just about what you feed yourself, it's about what you feed your head as well. So Connie, it's great to see you here. I'm so glad you've joined me. Maybe we'll have a few more people, but even if it's just you and me, it'll be just fine.
That's right. Yeah, because usually I'm caught up with some other things, and today I was open and
I know. And I very
here I
subtly,
am.
Connie and I were just on another call, and I very subtly put something in the chat about how I had to leave because I had this call at the top of the hour. I thought that was kind of a Connie Reagan Green subtle thing
Yes,
to do that you
right.
would resonate with you and you might appreciate. See, I do pay attention. And I thought that was a real dog when you first showed him.
Because when I get bored, I get silly, and I'm not bored here at all. But I'm showing people what I did on another call, and I was like, I was blowing the dust off.
I know. Well, one of the people had her actual dog on the last call, who was adorable. And then when people started talking about how you had the dog, I was thinking it was one of your actual dogs, and it wasn't. So I was like, wait a second, I didn't see the dog. And you know me and animals, so I was like, where's the dog?
Yeah.
So that's the dog. What's the dog's name?
That's Wang, and named out. It's the surname of the family that gave it to me. So it's a cookie jar type thing.
Oh.
And they got it in Chinatown, and they are the Chinese family that I adopted at the beginning of the pandemic. I didn't even know they had moved into the neighborhood the year before, because they're very quiet, and we've become really great friends. And I forced them to love me. I just adopted them.
They had no choice. It's hard to say no to Connie, in case you don't know.
And especially during a pandemic, it's hard to say no, because I kind of was the only game in town. I was the only one coming to the door and knocking on the door, ringing the bell, looking into the camera and saying, yes, it's me. And they'd all come. The whole family would come.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
people.
awesome.
Yeah.
We love that. We love that. So today I wanted to share an experience I had, and then kind of relate that to the topic of our membership site. A few days ago, actually, I think it was last Friday, I had put my back out. Many of you know that I have sheep, and I have three of the five of them are elderly. And one of them on Friday was stuck. And if a sheep gets stuck, they can actually die. But this particular sheep was stuck because she was at a weird angle, and she tried to get up, couldn't get up. And instead of calling my husband Rob to come help me, of course, because I've been taking Kathy Hicks's exercise class, I thought I was all strong, and I was a little overconfident, and I ended up putting my back out. So instead of being at Kathy's exercise class at 11 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, I was at the chiropractor getting stuff put back where it belonged. So on the way home, I stopped to do a couple of errands, and we had just had a melt and a freeze, and I pulled into a parking space, and I opened the door and I looked out, and it was a solid sheet of ice. And I had visions of me putting my foot down, because this has happened to me before, putting my foot down, getting out of the car and going boom, and turning the car around and going back to the chiropractor. So I said, okay, I'm going to move one parking space over, which was dry, no ice. I put the car in reverse just as somebody pulled into the parking space next to me. I went, okay, that's fine. There was a parking space that just opened up over near the store where I had to go. So I said, okay, put the car in reverse, backed out just as somebody pulled into that parking space ahead of me. Now, the old me would have done the poor me. I don't know, why does this always happen to me? It wouldn't happen to anybody else, but it happens to me all the time. What's going on with this? And to tell the truth, I had a little teeny inkling of that, but I stopped myself right away. Instead, I reframed it. And I'm going to relate this, bear with me, because it's a long way of relating this to food and eating. But I parked kind of far away from the store that I wanted to go to, but I reframed it. That wasn't my lucky, because I didn't have to worry about the ice and falling and having to go back to the chiropractor. And I also got some extra steps in. And anytime I can do some extra walking, and parking far away from the store you're going to is a really good way to do that. It's a good thing. This is a recent thing for me, because I was never one to move, but boy, is it important, and boy, does it help you. So I reframed it. So I wanted to relate that to what we're doing here, because I know that when I don't eat well, I tend to dump on myself. And I tend to, probably my first thought is, I hope nobody saw me eat that. That's usually my first thought, because I'm supposed to be this bastion of healthy eating virtue, and I'm not always. So I wanted to get feedback from you. When you, I call it going off the rails, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean that you kind of, throw caution to the wind and you eat in a way that you know doesn't really serve you if you did that all the time. So Connie, when you do that, do you have any thoughts? I mean, that you used to have? Do you have thoughts now that might be different? How do you frame that to yourself if you eat really widely and you say, wow, that wasn't a good choice? How does
well,
that
first of
work for
all,
you?
I'll say that in California, a melt and a freeze would be like maybe a patty melt or a grilled cheese, and a freeze would be maybe some kind of ice cream, milkshake,
Yeah, I
beverage,
know.
something like that. Yeah. So a melt and a freeze, it's different. All right. So yeah, I really changed my thinking, and thanks to you for so much of that, where I do have days where I still eat too much sugary stuff. And I eat pretty much for about 3 hours. That really works well for me. And I pretty much know what I'm going to have. I'm going to start today in about 45 minutes. I'll eat. And I don't like to do other things during that time. I won't go on the computer. I won't go out somewhere unless I happen to be out and I'm going to eat out during my window. And I'll be doing that on Friday. But so there are times though then that I've allowed myself to have whatever it is, a little cookie thing, or even a dark chocolate, which is still, a sugary item. And I'll just say, okay, so you're eating too much today. Let this be the end of it today. And pretty much I can get right back on track the next day. But I don't tell myself off. I'm not mean to myself. I'm really gentle with myself. And it's not like, because I'm losing more weight now to get down, because I want to get down to 50% weight loss from where I started from. So I've got about 15 pounds to go.
That's amazing.
So I don't say, oh no, I'm not going to meet my goal by the date. I don't do anything like that, because those goals are just self-imposed, and it's not like my business where I really want to achieve something on a certain day. With the weight loss and with the whole thing with eating, I just want to make sure I'm staying on track. And if I get off track, then okay, I just acknowledge it. And I look at the choice that I made, and how could I do something different? Like don't buy more of that item, maybe. And then the next day, then I'm pretty much right back on track. Because I did a few days ago, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I did eat, and it's like little sugary candies that I got, and I finished up a little package, and I could have had that for 2 days instead of 1. And I thought, yeah, okay, so don't do that the next day. And then I haven't done it again.
That's great. That's wonderful. It's so important to be kind to yourself. I've had clients in the past who have said to me, I'm on a diet, and again, this speaks to diet is not a good idea, but I'm on a diet and I'm good, and then I can't take it anymore. Or I go to a party, or it's the holidays, and I go, again, I'm going to use the phrase off the rails. And I get so angry, I get so mad at myself that I just give up. I say, why do I bother? I can't do this. I'm a failure. And I go right back. And she said to me, I gain the weight back, and I gain more weight. And we know that this yo-yo thing, lose, gain, your body starts to believe that you're starving and it will hang on to that weight. And that's one of the reasons why it's really hard, if you've done the lose, gain thing, it's really hard to lose it, because your body's trying to save you. But it's very typical to gain the weight back and gain even more for that reason. So good for you that you're kind to yourself. And that's the point I want to make with people today is don't get mad at yourself, just acknowledge it. And because negative self-talk it's so dangerous, and it's so destructive. It's important to be mindful of what you're doing. And I think it's important to be mindful of why you're doing it. Did you have a fight with your significant other or your spouse? Did you have a bad day at work? Did you have a great day at work and you decided to reward yourself? Did something wonderful happen? You said, I deserve that piece of cake. It can tip either way. So just be mindful. And I love the idea of keeping a food journal, because so often we think we'll remember and we just don't. And then we're down the road a bit and we're not sure how we got to where we are. So I think it's a really good idea to keep kind of it doesn't have to be a formal thing. You can just have a notebook and jot down things you ate, what kind of day it was, how you were feeling, what might have triggered it if you went out and had a Big Mac and fries and a huge Coke kind of thing. I think that's really helpful, because when we're mindful about things, we can look at it and we can reframe it or rework it and use it to our advantage, use it as a positive tool. And I think it's really important to frame things so that they're positive for us rather than negative. And I've decided that going forward with the Healthy Eating Club, I think there's going to be more here about what you feed your head, because I think the positivity and the mindset is so important to how we are, how we live our lives, how successful, how happy we are, how fulfilled we are. It's not just about food, but they're very much in tandem, because the better we eat, the better we feel, the more positive it is to, the easier it is to be positive. And when you're feeling positive, you're feeling good, it's easier to eat well. So it's a very holistic thing, brain, body. It's just huge. So, we'll do some more of that. But again, take note of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, dig into the roots, and just kind of be aware of why what's going on is happening. And, drop any unreasonable expectations. If you're going through a bad patch, I practice intermittent fasting, which Connie knows. I don't do nearly the 21-3 that she does. I'm more 12-12 to, I'm bad at math, to 14-10. 14-10. I haven't done much better than that, but I will tell all of you that I am eating my way through winter. It has been so cold. It was 2 this morning when I got up at 5. And sometimes it has been negative, in the negative numbers, and it is so cold. And I've just been hungrier than I have been in a long time. And I I'm acknowledging it. And I know that I'm not going to let it get out of control. But when I'm eating my way through winter, I'm trying to eat good things, like have, more broccoli or more, whole grain, another slice of whole grain toast or something like that, rather than the donuts that I truly love, but don't love me back. So, and I think it's important to just stop. And part of what we talk about is mindful eating. And even if you go ahead and you eat something that is not in your best interest, I think it's a non-scale victory. It's a huge victory if you just are able to stop and just acknowledge that this donut, you're going to eat it, and it's not going to be good for you, and you're going to forgive yourself, and tomorrow's a new day. I think that whole process is hugely positive and hugely supportive to you moving in the right directions. It's small steps for big changes, and I think that's just a much better way to do it. And also, if you can just stop. Sometimes if you just stop, and okay, another true little anecdote. I was in, we have a Demoulas market basket, which is kind of our general grocery store. We have a Whole Foods too. And I got my things that I get at 3 or 4 different shops, because I know where to go. I go to Costco, I go to Trader Joe's, I go to Demoulas, and I go to Whole Foods, and I go to Ocean State Job Lot, which is a discount store. I get a lot of food there too. So I got my places for my stuff. But I was in Demoulas market basket, and I went from the dairy section where I got this non-dairy yogurt. It's So Delicious coconut yogurt, which is really good, and I love it. I walked from one end of the store to the other to look at the donuts, because I thought, it's cold and I worked really hard today, and maybe I'll have a donut. and they had chocolate donuts, and they had the cream, the Boston cream donuts with the cream filling and the chocolate on top. And I do love donuts. And I looked at them. And then what I did was I thought about the good things I have at home that I could go home and treat myself with, rather than have one of these things that I know is loaded with stuff that doesn't serve me. And I turned around and I went and I checked out. I didn't get the donut. So I did a hard stop on that. And it's not to say that I'm this bastion of eating virtue and I will always do that. But for the most part, if you stop and you think about what you're doing and you think about how it's going to affect you, then you make a decision. If you decide to have it, that's your decision, and own it. But if you can stop, sometimes you might be able to reason with yourself and make a different choice, a different decision. And every time you can do that, it reinforces the process. So I don't know, Connie, if that brings anything up for you, if you have any comments or anything to add about that, or if you find yourself doing that.
Yeah, I've lost the cravings for most of the stuff. So
awesome.
I do have, I keep the dark chocolate. I'm looking at where I have it right now, because also, during this time, there's been shortages at different stores.
Yes.
So if there's something I really like, I'm going to buy a case of it. It's just easier for me to do that. That way I don't have to think about it. Except now we're not going to get avocados because some kind of government something, and they cut off the supply from Mexico. And I was going to go this morning and pick up a few. It's probably too late.
Is that just in California?
Perhaps it's only going to be in California, because I don't know how many places around the country they're as popular. I guess a little bit maybe, but so I have things that I want to eat, but I just don't have the cravings like I used to have. So that's a blessing.
Isn't that amazing
to do it? It really is. Then, when you were saying about, like, be gentle with ourselves and don't say, oh, you messed up, you can't do anything right. I'm still around a lot of children, even during the pandemic. And children, it's wonderful to watch them, because if they can't figure something out, they never ever would give up. They never ever would say, oh, I'm just a dumb kid, I can't do this. And they're going to try forever. And the one little fellow, I had got him a robot transformer type thing for Christmas. And it was really, really hard. He's smart for his age. He's 6. And I guess I assumed that it wouldn't be so hard. Plus his dad would help him. And instead the dad kind of, looked at it and then let him do it. And no matter what, he was not going to give up. And I think we all have to remember that just to have that childlike awe that well, yeah, this might be hard, but it's not going to be hard for me, because I'm going to do it every minute until I have to eat or take a bath or go to bed. And other than that, that's all I'm going to focus on until I achieve it. Then when you were talking about the, keeping track of the food, what I think that you should do, Cheryl, I'm giving you a should. I think that you should create the Major Method app, because doing things on the app, it's so much easier for everybody, I think. I'm used to using apps during the day. So I use the, you were talking about getting your steps in. That reminded me I needed to take my Fitbit off and charge it in the wall here. So I have the app for the Fitbit. I have 2 apps for the fasting. I have so many apps for so many things. And the Major Method, it could be like a suite of apps, and one would be for keeping track of, like a food journal, and another one could be for something else, maybe for positive thoughts that you have during the day, or even negative thoughts, and how you could turn a negative thought into a positive thought. Like I can't do anything right. I can't do it. Instead, there are 3 things that I do really well. I focus on the things that we do well and then build on that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
My thing is, I think the apps are like way cool.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. I have an app for my Apple iPhone.
Yeah.
I call it my Dick Tracy phone.
I know, yeah, because even the Fitbit app, I get phone calls on there. I get text messages. Everything is related to everything. It's really awesome. Yeah. So
I know.
If a site sends me a code for something, I just look down at my arm. I don't have to look at the phone or email or anything like that.
Yeah, I know. If my phone starts ringing, I just put my palm over it. It stops. It's magical. If I'm out in the barn and I can't get one of my elderly sheep up, I press this, it's like, Mr. Watson, come here, I need you.
Yeah, when you were talking about the sheep couldn't get up, I was thinking about, I really love to take a bath, and I have a spa bath tub, And I got to the point where I had gained so much weight, I could get in it. I just wasn't gonna be able to get out. So finally, when I was able to start doing it, I still have a bad knee. And I thought, well, that didn't really solve 100% of the problem. So then I just figured out a way. And the way is to drain all the water out of there and everything. And then I have a big towel that I put in the bottom, and then I can get on my knees on the towel and
there you go. Get some traction, right?
You have to get some traction.
Yeah.
And that's probably like the sheep couldn't get the traction. And what do you do if you're a sheep? Yeah, that's really sad.
You're lying on your side going like this and just digging a hole in the hay. Yeah, it was pretty sad. So, that's interesting. I love the idea of an app.
Yeah. The Major Method suite of apps, and some would be free and some would be paid.
Yeah,
and,
that sounds like fun. I gotta find.
Very beneficial.
Find me an app developer.
Yeah, because that's like a whole thing, and some people are better than others, and people that you and I know actually have done that. So
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
cool, awesome. Well, I love that idea. So anything else to add? I found a wonderful. What did I do with it?
A recipe? Is it a recipe?
Behind me. It's a recipe.
I knew it.
Hold on one second. It's behind me though. I meant to put it here. Hold on.
All right. Boy, it looked like you just kind of got like transported to outer space. You've got to take a look and see what that looks like. Oh no, maybe she can't hear me. All right.
Coming back.
All right, now let's see if it looks like you're coming back from outer space when you come back in. Yes, it does. It looks like when you leave, it looks like you got transported like Scotty, beam me up, that kind of thing.
Beam me up, Scotty. No intelligent life down here. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up, but I know because I'm on a screensaver because I'm really in my bedroom. Can you see that?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay.
Not to read it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cranberry orange coffee cake, and it came in one of those little mailers that comes around. But it has cranberries, orange zest. It's got everything that I can change because it's made with flour and brown sugar and maple syrup, and it's got some good things. It's made with olive oil and vanilla extract. It is made with flour. I will change that to almond flour, but I want to work on that. It sounds so good. And it's not that we can't have good stuff. I mean, I made pumpkin chocolate chunk cookies the other day, and they're made with ripe bananas as well. So there's no sugar in there except what's in the chocolate, and it's 72%. So what's that? 28% sugar. It's 72% cocoa chocolate. So that's pretty significant. And so you can treat yourself and not feel guilty about it. I mean, you can't live on them, but you can actually have some good comfort food stuff. It's just a different kind of comfort food. It's not the stuff that you don't have to chew. It's got some fiber, it's got some substance. But one of the things I'd really like to do going forward this year with the Healthy Eating Club is share the fun things that you can treat yourself with so you don't feel deprived. So it makes it easier to be better because you can walk away from the donut stand and come home and have a pumpkin chocolate chunk cookie, which is exactly what I did. So I think that's important to know. So I'll be doing some more cooking things, and I'll be sharing some recipes. And Connie, if you have a recipe for a dessert or for anything, if you'd like me to take a look at it and tweak it so it's healthier, if you will, shoot it over to me, and I will be happy to do that and share it if you give me permission to share it with everybody.
You could share it. You could change it in a major way.
Exactly, I would. I would make major changes.
Yeah, because I think it's a big issue in the United States for sure. Other countries I can't really speak to, but I think people really don't know how to feed themselves. They don't know how to prepare food. And I think fast food is because the family, they just couldn't think of what to fix without it being maybe expensive and a lot of time and stuff.
Yes.
And so they went to a drive-through and brought home bags and bags of stuff.
Yep.
And I think if people just knew how to do things and were willing to take the time, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you don't have to cook every day.
That's
have
right.
Home cooked stuff every day.
No, and you can repurpose if you make big quantities.
Yep.
And that's what I do too. And I did a live stream video the other day about how I love to go food shopping. I love to go food shopping, and people do the eye roll and they look at me like I'm nuts because so many people say, I hate to go food shopping. I've learned to love it. I mean, I never liked to cook. I was a terrible cook. I was a very frightening cook, in fact. I made the worst eggs. I made the worst everything. And I didn't like, I've learned now that I didn't like how I was eating. And now that I eat differently and I love how I eat, it's a whole different thing because it's given me a new life. So I have a new appreciation for it on a whole other level. So food shopping has become a privilege, and I enjoy the colors, I enjoy the textures, I enjoy the freshness. I mean, this is going to sound really geeky, but I enjoy looking at the box and making sure that I get the arugula that is absolutely the freshest possible arugula. Its best by date is the 19th instead of the 17th. I'm there with the 19th every single time. So you can reframe the whole process so that it supports you in eating to be and feel healthier, both mentally and physically. And it can be an absolute joy, as well as being delicious. People think that healthy eating has to be boring and dull, and it doesn't. It can be really, really good. And you can still you can treat yourself with something that you used to love that maybe doesn't love you back once in a while. Like for me, that would be fried clams in the summer. You can do that, but you just want to be in the driver's seat with your health. You want to be in the driver's seat with your food. And I think that big food has kind of taken over, and we're not running the show, and we need to take the power back. And part of that, I really believe, is learning or relearning what real food tastes like, because we've really been taught that it tastes like salt, sugar, and bad fat, and highly processed flours. And that is, it's causing us a lot of problems. So I'm excited to change this recipe and put it out there for you. I think I might start messing with this later today.
It'll be in the members area for us?
It will be, yeah. And I'll email a link to it once I get it done. I got to experiment with it. And then I had made some brownies with black beans, which sounds disgusting, I know.
Yeah, no, I love black beans.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's really good. I mean, I have one more tweak before I share it, but it's a recipe I found online, and it was really dry and cakey. It wasn't very good. So I made a change, and I want to make another change. So it's kind of morphing into another recipe, but that's part of the fun. And would Wang like a brownie once I make it?
No, only very healthy things for Wang.
Oh, okay.
Sweet boy.
He's so quiet too.
Very quiet, very well behaved, because
I know
you're doing your recording.
He doesn't bark. Doesn't bark. Doesn't
want. He's very quiet.
No. Okay, that's good. All right. Well, Connie, and you and Wang have anything else to add?
No, that's it. Thank you so much for all that you do for us, Cheryl. I love you. You are fabulous.
I love you right back, Connie Reagan Green. And thanks for being here today. I've enjoyed this. This was
good.
Me
too.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. This was call 2 for February in the Healthy Eating Club, and I will post this in the member site. I'll email out the link. Any questions? Cheryl at thinstronghealthy.com is my email, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.